Good morning everyone, welcome back to another weekly outlook. So we're going to start off as always up here on the monthly doing our top down analysis. If you've been following for the last few weeks or months even, you'll know that I expected a possible bearish pullback right from this leg here. So let's go into the price action. We've got this low here of our dealing range to this high of our dealing range. Now price looked like we was consolidating and that we had rejected this bearish imbalance up here, right? Because we had this high test into this bearish doji. So it did look like we was going to get drawn towards these draws on liquidity here, which is this imbalance covered by this BPR here. Okay, so this would be within a discount of this dealing range from this low to this high. What we currently have with the way that January looks to be closing, right? We're looking bullish in these last 3 months. Price looks to be heading higher. So we may not get this pullback at this point now. However, I still believe this is probably on the cards for some point in the future. So looking at this current price action, it does look like we're about to come above this high and maybe deeper into this imbalance. So we may go to this midline where this line is showing here, right? So that'll be 50% of the imbalance. So that's one possibility. We're going to go 50% of this imbalance and then possibly start to look to turn back. Or as we have this weak low resistance liquidity up here on the monthly, because we have this high with a lower high right next to it. Okay, there was no sweep of the high before the breakdown. We may come up for this buy side liquidity here. So this is obviously our external leg, right? We have these highs up here to this low, and then we had this consolidation here before we took the low and then started on our bullish move, creating this bullish dealing range here. So price may now be coming for the external buy side liquidity here, creating that new bullish external structure from this low to the high if we break these highs above here. Right, so I hope that's clear what I mean there. We have two scenarios where we may reject from this point here because it is an order block with imbalance, so we may mitigate that to 50%, or we may come for this weak low resistance high around here and have a new higher high. So any pullback down to a discount wherever that high may be is obviously going to be long term. So I still see a long term vision of price possibly targeting that at some point, but at this moment, right, when we're reading these individual candles, we can see price going higher. So the pullback is on pause for now. So let's move on to the weekly. Let's see how that looks for us. Right, so here we are on the weekly, just zoomed in on that recent price action. I've highlighted this low and this high here because this is the dealing range for me, the bullish dealing range, right? This low to this high. Why is that? Because we was making these high highs, high lows, high highs, then we've made this high low here, and then we went on to break this external high here where this buy side liquidity is with this wick candle here, right? So this low to this high is my dealing range. We've stayed within that dealing range for a few months now, of course. However, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, around this point here where price was bearish, we did have this small imbalance here with order block, right? So I was waiting to see how price would treat this zone here. You can see we had a massive bullish rejection there, taking out that high. So at the moment, we look quite bullish. The weekly is showing strong bullish reaction. Buy side liquidity has been taken, this 1808 level here, with further buy side liquidity target above at this external high, right? So 19188. So price has made this internal bullish leg here, right? Because you can see if we start highlighting these points, we have this low, this high low, and now this higher high, which of course is still internal to this bullish leg here, but it does look like we're creating that bullish structure to come for these highs, at least this external high here. And then of course what we will have is a new bullish dealing range, right, from say this low to this high here. We are very close to that point, right? We are very close to this 188 level here. So we'll see what price does. We of course may leave behind an imbalance here, but price is so close to this area, I do expect it to just take this high sometime soon, right? And so therefore the weekly is still showing bullish price action. Okay, so that monthly scenario of coming down to the discount is obviously not in play yet. The weekly will be an indicator for that once we start changing structure to bearish. As I've been saying for a few weeks now, The weekly was not as clear because we were sideways, but we still did maintain that bullish structure. So there was always the possibility that price was going to continue bullish, right? It wasn't aligning with the bearish daily we had at the time. But back to the current price action, I hope that was clear. I hope that was obvious, right? You can see we're creating this internal bullish structure now, coming up possibly for this high here. Let's go to the daily. Let's have a look at that in more detail on that time frame. So here on the daily, as I explained over the last few weeks, we had this market maker buy model. I explained it as a possible market maker buy model, right? Because we was in the earlier stages of it. Okay, so we have this market maker buy model target, which is here, this original consolidation at this point of origin where we had created this downside curve here, right? We created where we've done these high lows, high highs, mitigating the bearish order blocks and PDAs. Respecting that bearish order flow, we found a bottom, right? Because we got that divergence with DXY, and then price respected bullish order flow. We respected this imbalance here, started creating our high highs, respecting bullish PDAs and stuff. Eventually we had a bit of a deeper pullback, which was to an OTE zone here. There wasn't loads of obvious PDAs within this leg like we had here on this downside curve, or even here, right? We had really obvious nice order blocks and inverted fair value gaps. We didn't have so much of this, but this was December price action into January as well, so that probably had a lot to do with that. So you can see I've not marked up a lot here. I was relying on the lower time frame a lot more while we were inside these zones. Price then has taken off in the last week or two from this OTE area here, where it respected that weekly order block as well. Okay, so we came up, we've taken this buy side liquidity, and as I said on the weekly, we are very close to completing our market maker buy model target here, this origin point here. So we have this low point here where we have this line, and we are now completing that buy side curve, right? That V shape where price will be creating that V shape there, which I explained in my previous video. If you want to go and look back at those where I explained the market maker buy and sell models. So the daily is bullish, the weekly is bullish, bullish momentum. So as I've said here, we're aligned with the weekly bullish pressure. Market maker buy model target is close by, so any pullback may be shallow and remain in premium. So that's important because people may expect pullbacks to say this fair value gap here. Price doesn't have to do that. Price may just pull back within yesterday's candle, the previous day's candle, and then come for these highs before any significant pullback happens. Okay, so from this dealing range low here to this dealing range high here is how I got that OTE level, right? You can see we've already created another bullish dealing range from this low here to this high here, right, after taking out this high. So daily is of course very bullish. We have a strong bullish dealing range and momentum over the last few days, and we have our buy side target just above, okay, and then further target to possibly this midpoint here of that monthly imbalance. So I think that's very clear. We're clearly in a bullish environment. We have a bullish bias, so of course I'll be looking for buys on the lower time frame, bearing in mind for everyone that we may see shallow pullbacks and not deep corrections into these zones here in order to get our buys. Okay, price will be eager to complete this and take out this high. So let's go down to the 4 hour. Let's see what these lower time frames look like. So as I mentioned in those previous videos as well, you can see our fractal market maker buy models here on the lower time frame, right? On the 4 hour, this was our most recent one here. Right now, of course, we're continuing to complete the daily market maker buy model, but this was the 4 hour fractal, and within those we'd have had 1 hour fractals as well for us to aim for. So I hope these are clear for you. Look back at my old videos if you want to know more about those market maker buy models, right, and gain any clarity on that, because that's how I trade and that's how we have our targets in mind. So on the high time frame, we have a very clear target here at this 19188 level, right? So looking at the 4 hour, as I mentioned on the daily, price is only 11 pips from this market maker buy model high target, so pullbacks may remain shallow. So in terms of this leg here and what you're seeing, we have an imbalance here with order block very clear on the 4 hour. Okay, we've still got an hour and 50 until this 4 hour candle closes. So This being bearish here doesn't mean much to me at the moment. We could still close up as a nice low test wick, rejecting this order block here and respecting this fair value gap. So as I mentioned, a nice shallow retest of these PDAs here may still be respected for price to then go and reach for our target, right? So that's what I foresee still at the moment. Of course, we have open imbalances down here. Price could pull back lower, but I expect us to be in a rush to complete this model. So we'll see how this candle closes, right? We'll see what the 1 hour and M15 look like. But over the next nearly 2 hours, we'll gain a better picture on the 4 hour to see if we're going to respect this zone like we did previous day, right? On Monday, where we had all of these open imbalances below. Price reached down, shallow retest of this imbalance here, went on to create a higher high, taking out this high here. So I think the 4 hour obviously is just a representation right now of how much bullish momentum there has been. We have a nice PDA here to work with if price respects it. If we get into a trap scenario where we've taken this buy side liquidity, break through here and go further down, then we'll reevaluate. But at the moment, I'm still bullish from this zone. So let's go down to the 1 hour. Let's see if that gives us any clarity. So we do have a nice strong zone here, right? This top imbalance here is the 4 hour imbalance. It's overlapping with a 1 hour imbalance and order block. Okay, so this is still very much a strong zone for us to look into here and expect price to possibly respect and reject. So on the 1 hour, of course, we have a nice leg here. We took out sell side liquidity, right? We have this dealing range low to this dealing range high. So at least on the 1 hour, we have reached down into some kind of discount. As we know on the higher time frames, right, there are still open imbalances below here, but price still has the opportunity to respect this. The previous 1 hour candle has respected the order block, right, by closing above it and also on the midline of this imbalance here. Okay, so if this candle in the next 46 minutes turns into a bullish one with a nice low test wick here, then I think we still look good for longs, right? Targeting Asia highs, previous daily high, and then ultimately that higher time frame market maker buy model high here. So these are our draw on liquidity. Okay, we have these internal liquidity here in Asia, previous daily high, which is external buy side liquidity on the 1 hour. Then we have that daily external buy side liquidity up here. So I hope that's clear and not too confusing. You can see previous day we got within 11.6 pips of our target, right? So I do think price will be in a rush to go from this to this. Okay, so I do see that happening again. As I mentioned, we'll have our market maker buy model fractals. We have this high, we have a potential low that we're going to create around here, and then this is our fractal high for the 1 hour, right? So that V shape again is what I'm looking to trade, right? So I hope that's clear, and that's what I'll be looking for price to do today, right? As long as we get the low that we want. If this closes out as a nice bullish white candle with a low test wick at the bottom here, respecting this order block, respecting this imbalance, then I think we'll look really good to target Asia high, previous daily high, and this market maker buy model high here. So I'm just repeating myself to get that message across. So I hope that's very clear for you. Let's go down to the M15, where there'll be more of the same, but this model here might be a lot clearer for the lower time frame market maker buy model, and we'll see what today's price action and trading may look like. But just remembering, this is our target here overall for the day, and then we'll have to reevaluate for the week once those targets are met. Right, so what's the M15 looking like at the moment? Since Asia, of course, since that mid of Asia, we are bearish at the moment. Okay, we are still within a bullish leg, which is fine. So from this low to this high, as you can see on the hourly, but right now the M15 order flow is yet to switch to bullish. So what I'll want to see for today, us to bottom out, right, find a low, maybe we'll do some sort of trap formation there, sweep these lows again, and then break out and then pull back. And that's where I'll be looking for trades on the entry time frames to start targeting these areas here, right? Of course, my first main targets being the Asia buy side liquidity, then a previous daily high, then overall this market maker buy model high here. So this is what I'm looking for. Price to bottom out on the M15, show that price is looking to respect these zones here, right, on the 1 hour and above. And then once the M15 shows its intention by switching order flow and respecting some sort of lower time frame M15 PDA here, that's what I'll be looking for, to look for entries anywhere from here or within these legs here going up for these targets. So that's what I'm looking for today. We're in London open kill zone. We're getting into the middle of that kill zone, which is usually when price looks to reverse. So this is perfect timing for us to find a bottom, create structure maybe, or just break these structures here completely and do something like this. And I'll be looking to jump in and chase these highs here. So just up to the daily to wrap this up. I hope that was clear. Any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week.